Hello, everyone. Welcome to Carousel. I'm your host, Barry Kesselman, and I usually hop on the carousel and ride around on a horse looking for people who are interesting, that have interesting things to say on interesting subjects. If you've been following along, you know that we had a person who was involved with the first spy satellite for the U.S. We had someone who was involved with sports. In fact, he was the announcer for the New York Nets. And we had a couple of clowners who go to a local hospital and entertain both the patients and the staff. So with the variety of things we're doing, we're going to move off into a different genre today, and we're going to delve into politics. And our guest today is John Hetherington, who is a former state legislator here in Connecticut, just retired in January of this year. He was assistant, I apologize, minority leader. And he was on the committee for the judiciary. Prior to that, he was secretary and vice president and lawyer for Mead Westvaco, who was in New York and here in Connecticut. And he was an attorney for the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. He is a Yalie, both undergraduate and in law school. And he's a member of the New York Bar and Connecticut Bar. And for you lawyers out there, I want you to know that he passed the Connecticut Bar by examination, not just by getting it on motion. He's also been involved in a lot of public service, especially in the town of New Canaan, where he served on the council and in zoning and planning and the Zoning Appeals Board, which I can tell you is a big aggravation in our town, but he handled it very well. John is a neighbor of mine, and I've known him for over 20 years. He's one of the most honorable and dedicated men that I know, and it is my great pleasure to introduce him to you. John Hetherington.
Barry, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
So nice to be with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thanks for volunteering and coming in as one of the interesting people on interesting subjects. I thought we would discuss several matters today. Connecticut itself, Connecticut and the legislature, and possibly get into the Civil War, where I know you have been a reenactor and have had some very interesting experiences and actions. So can we start with that? How about telling us what is the general state of the state of Connecticut these days?
Well, Connecticut has some very severe challenges. If you you may have noticed in the papers that we are ranked last or near last in most of the rankings in terms of a good place to retire, a good place to start a business, good place to move to, and we in fact have a very slow recovery, worse than the national economy in terms of recovery. But the state has some particular challenges. We have a state of about 3.5 million people. We have 3 of the poorest cities in the United States, Bridgeport, New Haven, and Hartford. We have a population that is aging and an increasing number of people who require some form of public assistance. And with an increase in those who need public services and a decline in the ability to provide jobs for people to work and pay taxes, we have a shrinking base to support those services.
So what's the bad news?
Well, the bad news is still a pretty good place to live in spite of all that. But we've got to figure out a way out of our substantial fiscal challenges, which have impacted the environment generally. I mean, because we have so many problems with our financial situation, why the taxes have been raised. It went up $1.8 billion in 2011, all kinds of taxes. And that's actually was the highest increase in history of Connecticut. And yet we still face a deficit. And we have liabilities that I don't believe we quite have quantified. Liabilities for pensions, public pensions, and those are going to be with us for a long, long time.
Isn't it a requirement of the state to run a balanced budget?
It absolutely is.
So how do we have all this debt if we have a balanced budget?
Well, some would say that there's a little gimmickry in there.
Really?
Yeah. And the present governor, Governor Malloy, he inherited a bad situation. It's really not a partisan question. I mean, both parties have spent too much when they were in power, and we have accumulated the debt we have over a long number of years. It said we haven't created a new job, net new job, since 2000, I believe.
Wow.
So
now, how did we get here? I remember Cary Grant moving out of New York City and coming to the great state of Connecticut, where life was pleasant and bucolic, as it still is, of course. Yeah. But we had no income tax. We were a great place for people from New York City to come because they didn't have income tax. And how did we get from that position, and I assume it was at least a surplus or even, to where we are today?
Well, in the early 1990s, when Lowell Weicker was governor, he brought about the income tax. The income tax was supposed to be the solution, that would get us on the right track, and after that, everything would be fine. Well, it brings in a lot of money, but we spend much more than we bring in, and the growth in spending, government spending, has gone up 5 or 6-fold over the last 2 decades, while the population's been about the same. So it's a.
Now, if I could judge all state legislators by you, which unfortunately I cannot, I know that you are responsible, you're intelligent, you care. Why isn't the legislature, or the legislature and the governor, I don't know where it all falls, able to bring controls to these problems? That they're problems that are easily understood.
Yes, they should be easily understood, you're right. But there are some elements of the budget that you just can't control. And for example, the Medicaid. Medicaid is about 25% of our whole budget. And that, the more you have an aging population, the more you have people who need assistance, it's going to keep going up.
When someone moves to age 65 and above, do they come off Medicaid and go on to Medicare? Does that help the state at all?
Medicaid has a means test, so it is for those who are not in Medicare. They are specially qualified by their economic status. But also, there hasn't been a great deal of will to curb spending, and we have expanded a state workforce very much. Connecticut is the state government of Connecticut is the largest employer in the state by about twice. It exceeds the second largest employer. So. Sometimes you've seen license plates that have they're going to call us the government state sometime, I think. And that's had a cost not only in supporting that government, but it's produced regulations that have just been promulgated without any real care or scrutiny, so that we make it very tough for business. Because there's so many regulations they've got to deal with. They would rather not have to deal with that. They go to Florida or South Carolina or somewhere. So I think it's a combination of the fact that we have some built-in needs of the population, plus the fact we don't have a lot of will to control it.
Well, let's talk about the environment in the legislature. Are there problems here in Connecticut like I would say there are in the federal government, where we just can't seem to get cooperation, and rationality falls behind? I don't know if we have ideologues in the state or what, but what is the environment there?
It is contentious, much as it is on the national scene. I'm told that years ago there was a great deal of collegiality among the legislators. That isn't there anymore. I mean, there is very bitter partisanship.
Is it upstate versus downstate? Is it Republicans versus Democrats?
Republicans versus Democrats primarily. And there is some division by state, but it's more by party.
Well, we're going to have a gubernatorial election one of these years.
Yeah.
Next year. How is that looking, both from the Democrat and Republican side, or just the Republican side, if you'd rather talk about that?
Well, I assume Governor Malloy will run again, and the Republicans, there are several people talked about running. There's Foley, who ran last time. If you looked at the registration numbers, you'd think the Republicans don't have a chance. I mean, but over the years, there have been more and more people registering as unaffiliated. So you have a large number of independents out there. Actually, now the independents outnumber the Republicans and Democrats, not combined, but they number each. And so that makes one encouraged to think that if we come up with the right person, that he or she may be able to swing enough independents.
Do you know what the voting proportion is? I mean, how many eligible voters vote in Connecticut?
I can't tell you offhand, Barry. It's typically a pretty high number, but I can't give you the percentage. Right.
Yeah, I know it's high in New Canaan, where I have been a voter registration for a person, and it goes yes, almost every time, and it goes well into the night. But I didn't know what it was, especially with all those independents that can swing one way or the other, and I didn't know how many would be voting.
Well, we've had one party in control now the Democrats have controlled the legislature for 20 plus years, and now have the governorship. The last year I was in the House, which is 2012, we Republicans were down 99 to 51. I think it's now 98 to 53, because I think we picked up a seat in a special election. But when you have that lopsided a margin, whether it's whatever party it is, it's not very healthy, I think. And I'd say the same thing if it was that hard Republican.
Do you remember any particular interesting days or sticky days in the legislature, or events that occurred that pique your interest, energy, or what have you?
You know, we had some crazy things happen now, because we used to have some all-night sessions. Unfortunately, that still goes on, and more so actually last year. But the assembly chamber is vaulted. It's very high.
Beautiful.
A couple of bats got in one night, and these bats were diving and above the heads of the people who were there, and people were ducking and everything. And finally, some of the police came out, tried to get the bat, and then they did get the bat. They did get the last remaining bat, and one of the ladies, legislators, got up and said, "That bat has rights too," you know. They went up to argue about it, to make sure they released the bat unharmed. So it was
Was that a metaphor for the legislature, that they had bats in their belt?
That was literally true. That's right. So.
I don't understand why representatives, federal or state, can't get along with each other. They're, for the most part, at least at the state level, these are not career jobs. People have other jobs.
Yes.
So it's part-time. So it's not their whole lives. So obviously people are dedicated, like you, and that's why you're there and giving your time and effort. But if it's so hard to accomplish things, and it's so aggravating on both sides of the aisle, why do people, one, keep doing it, and two, don't change the way they're doing it? Any thoughts on that?
I think the legislature and probably the Congress, United States Congress, reflects some pretty deep divisions in the country. And you can see the acrimony even in public, in town meetings and whatnot. So there's a lot of real partisan acrimony out there in the population, and it certainly exists in the legislatures. And there are very few. We used to have a lot of what they called blue dog Democrats. They were Democrats who were concerned with populist issues, but they still were fiscal conservatives, more conservative, and those have disappeared almost entirely. And so you have a pretty sharp division between liberal, labor allies, and on the other side, those who represent more business interests.
I just heard George Mitchell interviewed from Maine, and when he went into the Senate, he became majority leader, and he went over to Bob Dole, who was at the time minority leader, knocked on his door and said, "Bob, as long as I'm in this position, I want to tell you I will never surprise you, and I will never say anything bad about you in public, and I will never say anything bad about you in private." And Dole said, "George, same here." And that was a fine relationship. I don't understand why more people can't act that way, but it's probably my naivete.
Yeah, well, I believe, as I said, there used to be a lot of that kind of thing. These members of the legislature would go out afterwards and have dinner, and of course now they don't even end by dinner time, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Let's talk about some recent disasters around the country, in particular Sandy or the October blasts or some of the things and the power failures that we sometimes, perhaps too often, get in our area. Is there any move to help with preparedness for the population?
Well, I think there's been some progress. There's more oversight of the power companies in terms of their readiness to respond. But on that specific area, we're always going to have a problem as long as we distribute electricity the way we do. I mean, we have wires all over, as you've noticed. They run through the trees. Right. They were put there when this was mostly farmland. And the poles went up, and there were no trees threatening them. It was all pasture or whatever around it. But the trees grew up. And now you have the wires struggling to be maintained there. And, of course, cutting the trees is a very contentious matter. You know, people don't want to see the trees cut, even if it means protecting their power lines.
Well, if we want to protect the bats in the legislature, I suppose we want to protect the
that's right.
trees.
That's right. Yeah. I sponsored some legislation, introduced some legislation that would have made it clear that the towns had the power of eminent domain to take trees that were jeopardizing power lines, and it wasn't adopted. But I think there has to be some authority that says, you know, you have to put people's safety and welfare above trees.
There's no right-of-way for the power companies to come in and do that?
Power companies have a right-of-way, and they typically have the right to trim overhanging trees.
Right.
But then it gets a contention as to whether or not that tree really has to go, you know. And I mean, there are lawsuits about this.
Yes.
And then the cell tower thing, you know, nobody wants a cell tower around, but as a result, when you have power outages, people were sometimes stranded without any phone service. People who need medical attention
Yes.
or emergency services. So yeah, we don't have a way of dealing. You can see that. That's another reflection of the contentious nature of what our society is now. Yeah.
Do you think term limits would help?
I do, yeah. I didn't used to think so, but I do. Because I think if there were term limits, you wouldn't have people thinking about their reelection all the time. And it would encourage more independence and ability to act on the basis of a rational judgment of the issue at hand and not political loyalties.
Amazing. You also are a Civil War aficionado. You've been a reenactor. You were a major in JAG. And,
Yeah.
And you brought some things with you. And I wonder if we could show one now.
Sure.
About ballots and voting in the Civil War era.
Well, Barry,
We have Mr. Lincoln
Right.
here right now.
okay. This is a ballot. This is, of course, a picture of President Lincoln. And then beneath the picture is a ballot, a Connecticut ballot from the 1864 election. And the elections were a little different then. They, you would go to the polling place, and from the table featuring your candidate's ballot, you would pick up a ballot and go over and deposit it in the ballot box. So it wasn't really very secret. This happens to be a ballot for Lincoln and Johnson, who were the candidates in 1864. Lincoln was running for re-election. And you notice that Lincoln and Johnson are featured at the top, but all those lists of names below that are the names of the presidential electors. Now the presidential electors, the names of the presidential electors are not identified on the ballots in most states. So they, but they were in those days, they were important. I mean, those were all prominent people. And I guess some people cared more about voting for them than the president.
Very interesting.
So, yeah.
Open ballots.
Open ballots, yeah. And Lincoln won, by the way.
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Which, actually, he was quite dependent on the, or he thought that he would need a very strong vote among the soldiers. So Connecticut, for the first time, had absentee ballots so that military personnel could vote, because he really was counted on the Union Army to re-elect him.
Yeah, they probably were drinking a lot of this when they
Yeah,
voted.
right.
And what generally went into this? This was a Union soldiers.
Yeah, that was a cup that was used for a daily ration of quinine and whiskey, which the Union soldiers were given when they were fighting in the South to fight off malaria and I guess the blues and whatever else. But this one happened to belong to the 56th Regiment of New York Volunteers, and when I found that, I really wanted it, because my great-grandfather was in there as a private in the 56th New York. So fun to think that he may have taken a shot out of that at some point.
Okay, a shot. I mean, you were at least very honest about, as opposed to a sip to prevent malaria.
There you go, right. Well, of course, it was only for medical reasons.
And this, you've also brought a canteen?
Yeah,
with you?
this is a canteen, a federal canteen, a Union Army issue canteen, and it's unusual in that it still has the blue wool cover on it that it had when it was issued. Most of them were eaten away by moths. You can see some moths got to work on this one. And so there are very few you see that remain with the original blue cover, and which the wool cover was thought to keep it cool, keep the water cool.
Wow.
I don't know who JBS was, the initials of the soldier that had it, but I have no idea who he was. So
Well, he probably didn't have it as good as the soldier drinking out of the cup.
That's right.
In any event. So, do you think there's still hope for Connecticut to rise back to its previous glory in the foreseeable future?
I think we've got a lot of potential, but we have to make this a better place to build a business and a better place to operate a business and provide real opportunities, because right now we're losing more people from our state than we're gaining. And that can't continue and be viable. We've also, as I said before, we've got to get our spending under control.
Absolutely. John.
Barry, so nice to be with you.
It's
Thank
so
you.
nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And I wondered if all the Republicans in the legislature wore pretty bow ties like that so they could be identified.
They all did on the day I retired. So.
Well, that's very good.
So.
And I appreciate your being here.
Yeah.
I have no idea if we're still on the air. And I'm saying goodbye.
Yeah.
And thanks again.
Good
You
night.
added so much to our program.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. That's it?